Okay everyone, I'm excited to show you this one. We're gonna cruise down the river a little bit. My boat doesn't break along the way. And come to the city of Lutgolain. I'm doing this tour in creative mode so that we can see everything that's been done. We're still working on the river. It's not necessarily the best way to get into town right now. We're still sort of better off running. And we do mean to start installing horse roads. So let's have a look. These fields are mostly potatoes and carrots. Shannon planted them. He does a lot of the farming. I'll just fly up here real quick. Oh, I forgot I can't seem to fly while I'm raising crops. But that's okay. Now Shannon has this hedge that goes all the way around his farms there. And he has this glass on the side because he's actually built it inside of a taiga forest. And that winter forest tends to snow unless he blocks it that way. That's Eric's house. It's not one of my designs, but it follows the architectural paradigm. I appreciate that. This is a fountain when it's daytime, and at nighttime these lights come on. I might show in another video how to do some of the designs that are operating here. Okay, I found the way into Shannon's garden space. And behind me. And as you can see, he farms a great deal, and his water management techniques are also pretty clever. He uses the torches to keep the light sufficient to make sure that no monsters will spawn. And he keeps all kinds of animals, sheep and cows and chickens and all kinds of things. The sun's just getting ready to come up, and that's a good thing. We'll be able to see something special. Now, there's a single day-night sensor. Well, frankly, because they're costly. And I take that back. There are two day-night sensors. There's one day-night sensor here, which governs the fountain. And another day-night sensor on this side of the bay, which manages all of the lighting systems over here. So as the sun comes up, you're going to see those light sensors go off, and this street light is going to transform into a fountain, just like that. And then, once the sun gets a little bit higher, the street lights go out. This is the expensive area where the nice houses are. It has day-night lighting. It also has the lighthouse. The lighthouse burns all the time because of netherrack, which is used on top of the light. And in the inside, it's just a pleasant little carpeted space. This one is one of the more modest houses, but it's still quite nice. The water falls between the glass panels so that when you're in the basement, you can still see up to the first floor. A rather simple fountain design, but it looks nice in this spot of town. This building, which we walked by earlier, is my Greek villa design. It has several really nice features. First off, this glass bottom pool, where you can see the water from the first floor. And this little entry space this is an unclaimed house, which is why it's so Spartan looking. The house comes with a basement, so there's plenty of room for building expansion materials, those sorts of things. And upstairs, there's a bedroom, the pool, a table, and what is, in my opinion, the best view in town. Here's the day-night sensor, which manages all of the lighting on this side of the bay. Covered up with a piece of glass. I would have preferred to hide it a little bit more efficiently, but this looks well enough. This structure is called the Weeping Arch. We call it the Weeping Arch because, as you see, water falls out of it. There's a very specific reason for this, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Basically, the Weeping Arch looks like a large architectural statement, but it's actually a functional device which is hiding its function. This is the water cathedral. It has this tower over here, and then the cathedral itself. Rather than using a more conventional pillar design, I decided to take the vaulted ceilings and give them these water pillars, since the cathedral is about celebrating the water. There is nothing else in terms of the water physics that's particularly remarkable in the cathedral there. We have another fountain that falls down here, and you can climb up into the steeple to get another different view of the city. It's not the best one in my opinion, but it does give you a pretty good look at the Weeping Arch. And another view of Shannon's farm zone. And we can take the stairs, or you can simply fall down the waterfall. Same is true with these pillars. We can fall down them into the lower level. I was sort of thinking about Diablo when I designed this temple, and so in Diablo fashion it connects to the lower mines. This goes off into an abandoned mine shaft that we found, and this takes us down to what I will show you here. There is this abandoned mine shaft section. However, it is the actual reason for the Weeping Arch. Now, you can't see it, but beyond this wall, you can hear them. There are skeletons, and they are in a skeleton spawner. And right here, they are going up a water elevator that takes them onto one side of the Weeping Arch. And then they get through the Weeping Arch. And I can actually fly up here and show you. And then the skeletons fall down. They take lethal damage as a part of the drop. And they fall directly onto this hopper, which delivers their loots into the chest. The bones are all that's in here right now, but we use it really just for farming arrows. And so, as you see, the Weeping Arch does have a function, because up there is that dark area where you saw before, where the skeletons are pushed along into the lethal drop. This is the ziggurat. I built it largely as an architectural statement, and to add some more water features. Inside of the ziggurat is a box, and inside of that box I put the immortality potato, and also I put in the new dungeons I build dungeons in creative mode from time to time, and inside the ziggurat is where I put the books describing how to do the dungeons. The ziggurat is a structure that celebrates light. Because of the integration of glowstone into its floors and ceiling, the structure never deals with an unlit time. On this side of the bay, we have these piers. The piers are for use by people with the Port Authority. Inside the Port Authority, we have this chest filled with boats. One of the primary functions of this city was to give us a place to explore the ocean from. It's actually quite vast, and there are many lands on the other side of it. So, this is the tenement structure. We had a couple of villager eggs that we dropped, and then we just let them multiply normally. The tenement structure provides a sufficient supply of houses as far as they're concerned, that they have come into a full village with their own golem and everything. And they produce most of the population for the city, players not included. Now right here I have a grand bazaar, and the bazaar is actually a trading space. I put it in and I put some objects inside of each of the boxes. This one has food in it, and this one has arrows. This is just a repair station. This is a box full of weapons. And this is the fish shop. I own the fish shop. I fish and put the fish in here. And when people take things from the bazaar boxes, they should leave an object of some value. And this brings me to the mosque. The mosque has a couple of secrets that I don't care to share exactly. And as you can see, it's turning nighttime again, and as a result, the street lighting comes on automatically, thanks to the day-night sensor, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And inside of the mosque there is an oculus, and the ceiling is composed of smooth sandstone and lapis lazuli blocks. These books are largely, the bookcases came from the stronghold. We ransacked it. And this box is a place for me to put those really nice things. I don't know what I'm going to put in it. It just seemed like a reasonable place to put the box. Across the water you can see AJ's house. And the mosque has a couple of torches to light it, but for the most part it has enough of a its street lighting system is sufficient to keep it well lit properly. And from here we can also see the nice district on the other side. Now these are a couple of watchtowers to guard the mosque. I built each of them using these water elevators. This water elevator, because I use slabs in the construction of it, is a little bit more efficient because you don't have to jump out. It just brings you straight to the top of the water. And then this bridge has the fences largely for aesthetic purposes. I don't like objects that clearly defy physics. And this gives it the look of buttressing. And then there's another water elevator, although it doesn't really go down into anything. Leastways not at the moment. And then over there is another fountain. This fountain is similar to the light fountain on the other side of town. However, this fountain has no lighting system built into it. Instead, the piece of glass that you see at the top of the structure controls a day-night sensor, which is much deeper down. And when the sun gets overhead, that day-night sensor goes off and turns off the street lights. And this is a fishing pier, which Cody constructed. And the fishing pier is in plenty of a good position to cast out your line and see what you can catch. Now for something extra spectacular. This is the desert port city, true, but I went ahead and did something a little special. We're still not completed with this structure, but I will show it to you. So we're inside of a gigantic glass dome box structure. The signposts keep the water out so that you can pass through the door. And right now you can pass through this bit, which is over the, under I should say, the remaining water. Glowstone keeps it properly illuminated, though I might change to a day-night sensor system sometime soon. Or something a little bit more controllable, I guess. And right now there's a great big pool in here. We thought about putting squids in it, but they despawned eventually, and there was just no point in trying to keep an aquarium. So instead what we're going to do is remove all this water and get this thing hollowed out, and we will make use of it for building. We will build something under the sea, and it will be interesting. The villagers are hanging out here behind the tenement, which is not surprising. Cody is building a bar up at the top of this hill. It also has a pretty nice view. And as of yet, as you can see, it's not quite complete. But it does have a nice door system that he spent quite some time working on. And he's thinking about a pool structure or something like that. So I think the bar is going to be something special. Cody also wanted something just for a personal house, and so he built his greenhouse design. And as you can see, he's preparing to use it for a vast farm system, as well as he's got lots of processing devices and so on. All kinds of things that he might need. Placed a lot of torches all around the entire desert, and especially down here in the quarry where we took most of the stone from. And keeping the desert well lit enough to move around in safely has been a priority, and it's been one that we were doing pretty well with, as you can see. Let's jump to AJ's house. So here we are at AJ's house. That was an easy jump. He's used the stone walls, installed some nice carpets here, and he's got a ladder system. It takes us down to his nether portal. And up here is the exit onto his roof, and of course I step outside and it begins raining. And the wall structure, first off, it gives him this sort of battlements look to portions of the building, and also it stops you falling off, and you can see the taiga and some parts of the desert beyond. Now over there is where we keep the actual XP farm. Let's jump over to that. So here we are, jump back to the desert. And this is our XP farm. This also uses a Caspar MC design. We have a bed for long-term work. This also connects to a series of mines, but we don't bother to explore them extensively. We keep an enchanting table with lots and lots of books. And also we have all kinds of things that we can make use of in here. Now beyond this is a zombie spawner. There they go. And using a Caspar MC design once again, the zombies are moved along a water elevator system. They get dropped here, and then we kill them. Back in the posh side of town, we have my personal villa. I wanted to do something really special for this villa, so I used a sort of Venetian inspiration. The structure is built on top of the water. I added some lily pads for effect. Did a little bit of carpeting here, put in a bookcase. My bed sits at the bottom of this relatively verdant sleeping pod, which goes up into the dome. I built the dome and then realized I wanted to do something more than just have another dome in this city that has several dome-type structures. So instead I created this sort of spherical room, if you would, where my bed is kept. And then I filled it with all of this flowers and prettiness to give it a pleasant sort of garden effect. On the roof level, you can see the gold that tops the dome there. There's a cake on the table, which is of birchwood. I like it. It looks pretty. And you can also see my ceiling level pool. Roof level, I should say. And we have a watchtower bounded with glass, which also has a nice view of the city. From the watchtower we can also see into Shannon's farming areas, and far off we can see the undersea bubble city. However, the really interesting thing about my villa doesn't happen until nighttime, and we'll watch that soon. So, the sun is beginning to set now, and we're just hanging out in my villa. I don't always add windows, but in this case it seemed appropriate. A little bit of lapis lazuli, but I didn't have too much on hand after the mosque, so there's only a relatively sparse supply of it here. And there we are. When nighttime happens, the daylight sensor kicks in and reveals a water elevator behind the bookcase. If you're not clear on what this is supposed to be, it should possibly become apparent soon what I was aiming for when I did this carpet. So, having revealed the bookcase's secret, let's have a look inside. I wanted something that was reminiscent of a shark cage, so I used the iron bars there. Now, because it's a time-controlled one, I didn't install any kind of a solution for how you're supposed to get out if it should become daytime, but that's okay. So, as we walk through here, we can see that we're underwater on the other side of the bay. And as we get a little bit closer to it, through the glass, you should be able to see that entire structure. Now obviously I built this structure in creative mode. There very simply isn't that much iron on hand. It is built entirely out of iron. And I know that you can't really see easily through glass blocks because for whatever reason they have these little marks in the middle of them. But you can get a general idea of what the shape of the thing looks like, I think. If not, you'll soon see what I've built down here. So, this is my underwater ocean lab. First thing I have to show you inside of the underwater lab is the lighting system. I wanted something that gave it a mood feel sort of look, but that didn't, I didn't want it to be glaring light. So, what I've done is I've installed a single glowstone lantern, the redstone lantern I should say. Underneath of it is a redstone block, which serves as the power core. And on top of it is the water, and the water dims the light to what I think is actually a rather pleasant level. So it's all floor lit from these little water pools. We've got a couple of interesting things in here. This diving chamber, which uses a more overt light source, this actually goes down into a dungeon, and in that dungeon is an end portal for us to activate later on once we collect enough eyes. T-virus storage. Yeah, this is sort of my dirty little secret. So, inside of the T-virus storage I have a lighting control center, and this box full of zombie eggs. Don't know what mischief I'll get up to with those, but there they are. This is a working lab with the gate project. On the left side we have this chamber, and in here you can see I have all of my equipment and so on. And in here I have my nether portal, and just through here my nether wart collection. The redstone reactor. So this one uses a Caspar MC model pulse generator, which is currently set to off. This gives you an idea of how the lighting works down here. We turn this on, it activates the pulse generator, and there is a single redstone core that provides consistent power to each of these lanterns, but it goes into a comparator. The pulse generator and a couple of delay switches make it so that the comparators are turned off and on in sequence so that the light falls down the reactor coil like that. So you get a bit of a Star Trek geek out. And as you can imagine, there are other things that I might do with a reactor of this kind. But that is my underwater ocean lab. And when daylight comes, that's going to seal back up, and no one will be the wiser about my undersea base. The reason for this is that because I used iron as the material, you can sort of make it out in the daylight, but at nighttime, and even during most of the daytime, these underwater pods are not really noticeable. And on top of my hidden sea lab, I have this pier where I can deploy my own boats to sail around the city. Do a bit of flying real quickly. And give you a look at the villa from its alternate angles. It uses a number of waterfalls for effect. And we also have this water beacon. I didn't build it, but it is my design. And it helps people figure out where they're trying to go when they're trying to make their way here. So that is the city, Luc Golain, that I have built. A lot of my friends helped me out with a lot of the projects here, or they did those projects on their own in some cases. And it's been a really fun project and a good community effort, and it's been a really great thing for our server altogether.